Welcome to another video of the GTO. Alrighty, as per usual, I'll start to list the parts and tools that you're going to need for this whole job. But while we're going through that and while you read that list, I'm going to show you what I got. So to start is the main piece, which is going to be, I believe I got a 30 row cooler from Volt Racing. It comes with a fan and a whole bunch of wiring stuff, as well as the mounting stuff to mount the fan to the cooler. The only things it's not going to come with are your lines and your adapter pieces that go onto the end of the line. That you're going to have to get yourself, and of course the fluid. I went ahead and picked up this, I believe it to be 5 feet of steel braided hose from Summit Racing. And I got these end clips from Amazon. And I'll, of course, link the prices for all these. And hell, I'll probably even link the actual parts themselves. But yeah. And then last but not least, because I actually want this to be a clean install, I got these fittings right here. And what these fittings do is they convert where the transcooler hose would naturally go into the radiator, and basically it puts a little adapter there that makes it to where you put one of these on the radiator and one of these on the transmission cooler hose, and that way you can splice in between these. You can hook up these hoses that go to your transmission cooler, and you can put it in there, so that way you're not having to do no cutting. You're not going to have to worry about any leaks, and if you want to, it is entirely reversible. All you got to do is just unscrew these and screw it back in, and boom, you can take out your whole transcooler. Okay, now let's focus on this steel braided hose. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. If it was up to me, I would recommend you don't get the steel braided hose unless you know a better way to do this than I do. So essentially the problem that I'm kind of running into is that, well, for starters, the steel braid makes this thicker, which presents a problem for these. Basically what these are is they're gonna be like your little clamps. So these unscrew. It's a little bit hard to do with one hand, I apologize. But basically, these unscrew, and this outside metal ring will go around the outside of this. And then this like little circle right here will go inside of this hole, and then you screw it in. And basically, what it does is it kind of has like a cone effect where this part pushes up against the outside, while this little thing right here pushes against the inside, and it basically clamps it down and makes a perfect seal. But the problem with that is that this isn't wide enough to go around the steel braided cable, and so therefore you have to cut back some of that steel braided cable, which just cutting it back in itself presents a problem. But there becomes even more of a problem when you get it on and you have all this frayed out cable, because whether you just want it to look clean or whether you don't want to hurt yourself, it's kind of annoying. So what I've done is I took a hose clamp here and I just kind of clamped it around the outside. But even like this, if you're not careful, it still will get you. Now, it also looks kind of ghetto, but when you do this, make sure you don't clamp it on too much, because you'll end up pinching your line, but just enough to get some of that steel down while you can clip the rest off. Should be good enough. Now, I've only done this side. I decided to do two 90-degree angles, and this will bolt onto the top side of the cooler there. And then on these sides, one will go into the radiator, and then one will go into the stock transcooler line. So since this one's going to go into the stock transcooler line, what you're going to want to do is you're going to use a straight one, because it's just a straight shot. And just for proof of concept, why I'm saying you don't want to get these is because you have to unbraid this to about down to right here, which unbraiding it isn't a difficult task. It's just, this is about as, okay, this is like equivalent to a couple hundred syringes. It will go through your skin like a syringe with no effort. And yeah, if you don't like needles or syringes, or you don't have any calluses, I have some, and it still does not care, I mean, it goes through rubber like it's absolutely nothing. So, I mean, unless you want to deal with that, I would say just get some simple hose. But it looks nice, but it's nowhere near worth it at all. Alrighty, so I got this hose complete, which I decided to go with a 45-degree angle on this side and a 90 on this side. And then for the adapters go on here real nicely. I don't know about that one. That one might be a problem, but I won't know till later. And it's getting kind of dark outside. Alrighty, I hope it being dark outside doesn't ruin the video quality too bad, but here's what I got. So I did the 90-degree turn right here, and that goes down there to where the transmission cooler will be. And then for the other line, I put that adapter right here, and I did a straight thing to the hose right here, and that's just gonna run right along the side of the radiator, down there, and again, right to right there. But before I go any further, I want to test for leaks, because I don't want the transcooler getting contaminated with any bad transmission fluid, because it does need a flush. But of course the lines don't matter, and I feel this is a good way to test the transmission cooler anyway. And so basically I have a little connecting 6AN piece that connects two 6AN connectors together here, and so that's what I did. And basically what's going to happen is that fluid's going to run out of the radiator over here into here, and then it's going to run into this line, and then this line's going to go straight into the transmission, basically bypassing the cooler. Now, while I wish I could ask my lovely girlfriend to help, she gets an attitude every time I ask her to do something, because she would rather sit inside and, well, be on her ass. So we're going to turn the car on, run out here, see if it's leaking, and if it is, run back in and turn it off. Forgot. Before we do that, we need to put the coolant hoses back on this, because if not, it will leak everywhere. Okay, it's the next day, and I'm slick kind of realizing that this is going to be very hard to do, because by the time I get off work, the sun's about ready to go down. I swear, as soon as I get off work, I got 5 minutes to do this before, and this is like a full day project. But anyway, I don't remember if I said this in the last video, so I'll repeat myself just in case. This part was leaking right here. Essentially what I had on there, and that goes back to the transmission cooler, I had this piece on there. Now, this is a O-ring boss. What it's supposed to be is this right here. So because it doesn't have that flare, it makes it to where it won't seat properly. And when you put this on there, because it's not seating properly, it's going to leak from right there in the middle, which is a problem. So the idea was that either I get one of these with the flare, or that I get an adapter that goes from this to this. And so we kind of got the middle way here. Unfortunately, he didn't have one of these. The one he did have had a little thing in the middle, which would have hit up against this. So that was a no-go. And he actually didn't have the adapter that goes directly from this to this. And so what he did was he made me one. It's it goes from an O-ring boss to a something, and then from a something to that the 6AN flare. And so all in all, with everything said and done, this will screw on to this, and this will screw on to this. And then last but not least, this should screw on to this and not leak. So let me get that put together real quick, and I'll see what we got cooking. Alrighty, so I got it all together, and I ran it to see if it was leaking, and nothing is leaking. Also put some thread tape here and some thread tape here, although I'm seeing some leaks from right here, because it's supposed to have O-ring here and it doesn't. So I'm gonna put some thread tape on that as well. And yeah, after that it should be leak free. This is taking me, just this little piece right here is kind of taking me a day entirely to figure out, which is kind of embarrassing and kind of annoying. So yeah, so I'll go ahead and take that apart and put some thread tape on it, and then it should be good to go. And all I have to do after that is get the fan in, get it wired up, and drain the fluid. That way we can flush it. I have a feeling the wiring of the fan is going to take me the rest of the night, which is, I mean, it's understandable. But realistically, after I get the fan, and I mean, the fluid flush is, well, to do the fluid flush, all you gotta do is disconnect the return line, which is really just gonna be this one right here, that goes from the radiator to the cooler. So all you gotta do is disconnect it, bring it up here, put it into the drain pan, and do that. But of course, I'll show that later in the video on how to do that. But in the meanwhile, let's get this thread tape on, and after that, we'll get into the wiring, which is the part that I thought was probably going to be the hardest, but I guess it was whatever this shit is. Alrighty. Now, moving to the fan, in this kit, it comes with the 2 adapters that change both sides to a 6AN. So that's very nice. It also comes with the mounting kit. I don't believe I showed this up close, but essentially, your fan's going to look like this. It doesn't come pre-mounted. Your radiator, this is going to be a 30 row. In terms of size relevancy, if you was thinking that this might work for you, it's about, I think it's about 13 by 9, I think. So for reference, if you have some of these red shop rags, which I imagine if you work on cars in your driveway like I do, you probably have some of these. So I'm just going to lay it out. So, I mean, in relevancy, it is width-wise, it is the same width as a shop rag, and height-wise, it is, take a centimeter off all sides of the shop rag to get the rough size. So it's not very big at all, but I heard it will do wonders. So in terms of how to mount this, it's pretty easy. You'll get these little foam squares, and essentially you're just going to put these little foam squares, you're just going to lay them in the spots where where the holes are for the fan, and then you're going to get these like little zip tie looking things, and you're going to put that through the little hole that's in the foam. It's going to go through this like little area right here, and it's going to come around to the other side. On the other side, you are going to have some more foam. You're going to put the spring that it gives you, and then you get this piece, which is basically the end of the zip tie. I've already cut it, but this is basically the cinching part of the zip tie. And if you're wondering what the springs are for, I'm not sure, but I'm going to chalk it up to it basically allows you to cinch the zip tie down and just give it a nice snug fit. Because if not, then the zip tie is going to become flat, and it's not going to be as rigid. And so I think this gives it like a nice constant pull to hold the fan up from all sides. Alrighty, so since I got everything here, I'm gonna go over with you the wiring diagram. So first off, to start, it says to disconnect the battery. That way you don't accidentally fry anything if you do it wrong. So we're going to start with the red wire, which is going to be this one. Obviously, you're going to run that to your battery. Second, this black wire, it says to use a self-tapper and attach this somewhere to a place you can use for a ground. Second, it says the yellow wire, which is going to be this one, which is yellow-green. It says to attach that to number 4 on the thermostat, which number 4 on the thermostat, if you flip it over, is going to be the middle one. And then we have the gray wire, which is this one, which is only used for a switch override. So whether that be you want to run it to a switch inside the cabin, or it also says if you want to run that to your AC, you would attach the gray wire to the positive lead on the air conditioning compressor. If you're not going to use it, it says to disconnect it. Personally, I'm not going to use an override because with a 30-row cooler, I guess you really don't need it. So yeah, we're going to disregard that. And then last but not least, we have the thermostat wire, which it says attach the left terminal number 1 labeled on the underside of the thermostat switch to a 12-volt positive switched ignition source. It is recommended to use an inline fuse to protect the to protect the circuit. So I'm going to assume that, also based on the thickness of this wire, that this is the thermostat wire, and that the 12-volt ignition source that is connected to will technically be this, and they connect inside of there. And the end of this will connect to your fan. Although if you look down here, it says for the single fan configuration, using the green wire, attach the green wire to the positive electric fan lead, which will be the green wire. So basically what I said, you attach this to the power for your fan. And then for the blue wire, which is spliced into the green wire, it says to disregard that, because I'm assuming, as you see here, it would be used to connect to fan number 2. So if you have anything else in this, if you have like any other fans or anything that you want wired up to this circuit for whatever reason, you're going to use the second wire. So me personally, I'm not going to use that because this is a single fan configuration. And so with no switch and no second fan, we're just going to cut this blue wire and we're going to cut this gray wire. So this will be hooked up to our battery. This will be hooked up to number 4, which is the middle pin, and this one will be hooked up to the ground. This one will be hooked up to pin number attach the left terminal number 1 with a 12-volt switched ignition source. Oh, okay, I see. All right. Sorry, I got a little bit confused there. So we're actually going to do 2 separate ones. So this one goes to the fan to give the fan power. And this one, it says left, which is number 1. Number 1, I think this has to have its own separate 12-volt ignition source. I'm not sure what number 2 is for. I believe it'll say it somewhere in here. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. I may have confused you, but I'm going to get this wired up, and then I'm going to give a full explanation of exactly how it works. So give me 1 second. Alrighty, it's like what, day 3 now? Yeah, I promise you, the job's not that hard. It's really hard to work in the dark. And I mean, dude, it's only like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and the sun's already going down. So yeah, but first, before you start doing all this wiring, you're gonna see where you want to put the radiator. So you're gonna take your bumper off, because with a fan this size, you can't fit it between that gap right there, so you got to drop the bumper. For me, it's gonna be a bolt right there. It's gonna be 3 bolts across the front thingy here, and then of course it's gonna be another one of those bolts right there on the side. It actually might be 2. Mine's hanging on by a thread, but I mean, it's not that hard to take a bumper off. I'm sure if you're doing a transcooler, you know how to take your bumper off. So yeah, you're just gonna get it in there, test the mounting, and I mean, really, you could probably hook it up and then just stick the wires out to the side, and then from there, decide where you want to put your wires. Judge the lengths. Again, I'm gonna do that. Just give me a second to hook all this up and see what I got. So I may have lied to myself. This is an easy job. This is actually kind of mediocrely difficult. So in order to get that transcooler in there, like I said, you can't get it through the top. With the fan on there, I don't know, maybe you have a thinner transcooler, or maybe your fin's a little bit slimmer. But my fan is just too thick to fit through here, which that's a pretty sizable gap. Now, if I was to take the fan off, put this part in, and then put the fan in, and then stick them together, I can fit them both in there. But like I said, once these are on, they're not coming off unless you cut them off, and then you're gonna have to get some new ones, which isn't gonna work. But thankfully, it does fit through the bottom. But as you can see, you got lines here, you got these here, and well, this here. So you can't really fit it to the bottom. So in order to do that, you gotta unscrew this up here and unscrew these 2 screws on the bottom. And once you do that, this whole piece, this whole cooler right here will lift up. And also this metal bracket right here will rotate sideways to get out the way to allow you to slide the cooler in up at an angle like this, so that way you can get it in there and slide it over. I'll tell you what, I thought this was going to be a lot easier than what it is, but the good news is now that it's in here, it's done. Dude, the sun's almost gone already. I feel like I've been out here for like, what, 10 minutes? Jesus. But yeah, let me get this put together, and then I'll start to work on the wiring. Alrighty. Yep, that's right. It's dark again, and looks like we'll be on day 4. But anyway, I did get everything wired up. It does work as it's supposed to. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you that. That's amazing. The only bad part, which I'm kind of realizing, is that I don't have an AC condenser, which I'm 90% sure an AC condenser is going to be what mounts right here, which means those of you that do have your AC condenser, well, you're probably looking at me saying, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? I have a whole damn radiator in there, and you want me to put it there? I can't put it there. And the only thing I can say to you is, well, you better find somewhere else to put it, because I don't know. But anyway, I haven't hooked up the hoses yet because, well, I just haven't got to it. But these hoses are going to fit in there real nicely, just right on each side. But getting into the wiring, of course, you have your red, your positive, and your ground wire. Now, for the ground wire, I simply just kind of grounded it right here. I grounded it right here, and yeah, and so that works for that. Now, for there was another ground, which I originally thought was supposed to go here, but that shorted out the whole system. So yeah, don't do that. Don't ground this. This stays open, and no, I don't know what it's supposed to be for. Now, this middle wire, which is going to be your signal wire, this is what tells you the temperature. That, of course, just goes down there to your relay, which I mounted the relay right there with a self-tapper. It looks messy on screen, but it's actually pretty clean in person, so don't hate me. Actually, I mean, take this out. See? Look how nice that looks. It's great. That green wire that goes from the relay, of course, is going to go right here into the main power wire for your fan. I decided to use one of these that connects the wires together, and that'll be your ground for the relay and the ground for the fan, all into one ground right here. So that's a very nice, very clean setup. And then for the power, being this one that comes off your thermostat, I just run it right along there, comes through here, and up to your fuse box. And then also in the same sentence, I have the red power wire that goes into the fan also hooked up to that, I believe. What? Let me check. Red power. Oh, no, sorry. The red power wire off the relay and the power wire for the thermostat both connect into one, which goes to a fuse that is supposed to be, it's supposed to be tapped into something that only comes on with the key on, which the two spots that I found was the horn relay and the AC relay. Well, if you couldn't tell, I don't use the AC relay because I ain't got no AC. And for the horn relay, well, I don't have a horn either. So, yeah. So those two were going to work. I believe this one up here was the one that only worked when the car's ignition was on. But I fried it out because, like a cornball, I had this hooked up when I hooked it into there, which is basically like touching two ends of the battery together. It fries it. And for the thermostat itself, this. Ideally, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take some foil tape and tape it around this hard line so that it can get an accurate temperature. But I'm going to tape it to the top of this because it's metal, right? So it should get the accurate temperature just from this itself. That'll either work or I'll look like a dumbass and it won't work. So I'll just have to see. Alrighty, so now we're going to be moving to the bottom where I will be dropping the pan so I can drain the rest of the fluid, and I also have to redo my gasket. Now, you don't have to do this because, well, you don't. This is more of a personal thing, so just keep that in mind. But I'm gonna be showing it anyway, just in case you're a little curious. Now for draining, and I recommend this is going to be the best way you can drain. I believe I got this for about like $11 off of AutoZone. It is a transfer pump. It's the perfect size to fit down the dipstick tube and allows you to drain that pan a lot so when you do drop it, fluid doesn't get everywhere. Because if not, you're going to have to put a drain pan under the transmission pan, and fluid's going to get everywhere, and it is going to be a pain in the ass. Matter of fact, it was such a pain in the ass that I had to throw away a shirt and some jeans because the transmission fluid smell will not leave. Here is the transmission pan. And basically, you're just going to get these bolts around here. It's a fairly easy process. Again, if you haven't already transferred the fluid out, well, just kind of cross your fingers and pray none of it gets on you or in your eyes. Because, I mean, think, it's going to leak all around this drain pan. And this is a pretty sizable drain pan. I guarantee you it's bigger than your, or sorry, not drain pan, transmission pan. But I guarantee you it's bigger than your drain pan. Alright, so I got the pan dropped, and I'm gonna be real with you. When you drain the fluid first, it makes this job a hell of a lot easier. I mean, it was so easy. I literally just did the transfer pump and fucking just unscrewed it and dropped it. That was it. I mean, that was so much easier than the last time I'd done this. I mean, last time, like half the job of me doing this wiring harness right here was me dropping the pan. Oh, Lord. But, yeah. So I guess just kind of sit here and let it drain. I took a look at the fluid, and there is definitely some clutch material in there, which isn't good because I replaced it no more than a couple weeks ago. And that means the fluid's not doing its job. I'm also seeing some milky white stuff in there, and that means that it is either contaminated with coolant or there's been some moisture or something in there. So yeah, that means we got to take out the filter. Now to take out the filter, you just pull it straight down, let it drain, and yeah. So also, don't forget to get you some brake clean and clean off this magnet, and really just clean off the whole thing. You're gonna make sure you want to get all the gasket stuff. I used a wire wheel to get the gasket off, and yeah, clean that magnet, and yeah, it should look like this, nice and clean. It's what we love to see. And yeah, after you do that, get your new filter, put your filter in there, and take your new gasket, put your new gasket on here, and get her bolted up. Alrighty, got the pan back up, and I got the filter in. Now, I will say, when you are putting this pan back up, the way I recommend to do it is to, of course, set your filter as straight as you can. And then you're going to take one hand and hold the pan up there, and you're going to take one bolt, and you're going to thread that bolt in about halfway. And you're going to do that on one corner. And then you're going to go to the opposite corner, and you're going to do the same. You're going to thread that bolt in halfway. And then from there, it will hold the pan up, and you can use your fingers to adjust the gasket as needed. And basically, just from here, you can just take your hand, put it right here, and move the gasket to where that gasket lines up with the hole. And then, again, you're going to take a bolt, you're going to put it in there, and you're going to put it in halfway. Then you're going to go to the opposite side, you're going to put a bolt in, and you're going to do it halfway. And you're kind of going to do that crisscross pattern until all the bolts are in halfway. That way you know that the gasket is perfectly seated around all sides, and there's no way that it can be misaligned. If it's sticking out a little bit, that's okay, as long as you know that it's in all the way. It's good. Look at that. Sticks out perfectly all the way. I got all the bolts threaded in halfway. You see what I'm saying? And so now what you're going to want to do is do that same crisscross pattern. Like, for example, this side, you're going to want to come over here, and you're going to want to thread it all the way in until it seats up there. Okay, so I forgot to record the flush process, but I mean, if you're just installing the transmission cooler, you don't need to flush it. But if you need to flush it, here's how to flush it. Take your drain pan. Matter of fact, you don't even need a drain pan. Take an empty jug. You have to have an empty jug or a drain pan, One of the two. Ideally, I recommend you get one of these empty jugs so you can see how much fluid you've pumped out. So, assuming you just dropped the pan, what you're going to want to do is, after you put the pan back up, go ahead and pour a full gallon in there, right? And then you're going to disconnect the line that comes out the top here, and you're going to run, assuming that that line is connected for the transcooler, you're going to run that line into your gallon jug, and you're going to turn the car on, right? And you're going to let the car run until on the gallon jug it reaches where it says 2 quarts. Once you see it's at 2 quarts, turn the car off. You're going to come over here. You're going to pour another 2 quarts in through the dipstick. You're going to turn the car back on. Assuming you're using the same jug, you're going to let it get to 4 quarts, which is a gallon. Once it fills the jug, shut the car off, come back over here, pour another 2 quarts in. And this is where having multiple jugs and or drain pan comes in. You're going to take another jug or the same jug, and you're going to pour it out into either the drain pan, or you're going to continue putting this into a second jug. That way you're able to see how many quarts you've emptied, right? And you continue the process. You fill the second jug up to 2 quarts. You turn the car off. You pour 2 quarts in again. And basically, you're just going to do that same process of add 2 quarts, drain 2 quarts, add 2 quarts, drain 2 quarts. And you're going to do that until you've went through about 3 gallons. Now, I recommend you stop after, you're going to want to do it until you really empty that last jug. Now me, on the other hand, I was an idiot, and I flushed about a gallon and 3/4, which is equivalent to roughly 8 quarts, which is pretty much the full system. Although technically, after a pan drop takes about 5 quarts, and if we round it up, the full system takes about 10 quarts. So once you fill it up, that means you only gotta do this for about another gallon and a half, maybe a little less. And I did a little bit more than that, so I'm a little low on transmission fluid. But nonetheless, that's how you flush it. After you flush it, you're gonna want to check your dipstick, and of course, you're gonna want to top it up to where it needs to be. And yeah, then you should be good. And I think that's going to be it for the transcooler. I decided to take my thermostat and tape it right here. I have no idea if this is going to work. Ideally, you're going to want to take your thermostat and tape it to a hard line like this, and make sure it's foil tape. That way it traps in the temperature so that it's getting an accurate reading. Like I said, I don't know if that's going to get an accurate reading or not. I hope so. Yeah, so that should be the full install. Pretty nice. I'm proud of myself. I think I did a pretty good job, and you should too. And that's going to be it. If there's any other videos you want to see, like how to do specific stuff, put it in the comments, and I'll see what I can do. But yeah, I think that's going to be it. Hope you enjoy your day.